press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Back. We are happy to be joined here by Mr. Ravish Bhatia, a Yenching Academy Scholar at Peking University. Also, we are joined by Dr. Wang Dong. Welcome to our discussion about the India-China relationship. Now, Dr. Wang, you have just wrapped up an academic tour of India and paid a visit to some of the think tanks in New Delhi. Now, your visit happened in the aftermath of the Donglang border dispute. What was the general feeling or broad picture concerning the academic exchange on issues of common concern at this particular defining moment about our bilateral relationship?
Well, I think my general takeaway of this trip is that actually, to my surprise, I think the majority of the scholars, experts, and senior practitioners in India I have talked to, they sort of with almost no exception, they all agree that the China-India relations are so important. They agree that the differences between the border issues will have to be well managed, and they also virtually every one of them emphasize the importance of further deepen the economic cooperation ties between the two countries, and including the cultural, social, people-to-people exchanges. So I think this is also something that I personally very much agree upon.
Probably, Ravish, border issues could be managed easily compared with the Kashmir and India-Pakistan relationship. The most important project of the Belt and Road Initiative, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, has met serious frustrations arising from India, which questions the fact that this corridor is likely to pass through Kashmir, disputed territory. What do you think of the adversity of such circumstances? Is it easy for both sides to jointly overcome and adopt a forward-looking attitude?
Is it easy? Absolutely not.
No.
I think what happened in the case of CPEC is, or in the larger scale of Belt and Road Initiative, was that the decision, had it been made with India on the table, would probably have looked differently. India supports Pakistan's development economically, and it sees no harm in bilateral relationships between Pakistan and China. What it would have hoped, or what it still hopes, is that the corridor, the project that passed through Gilgit-Baltistan, instead of questioning India's right to that region, because they question India's right to that region, and had Belt and Road Initiative not questioned India's sovereignty, India would have been much more open to play a more active role in the Belt and Road Initiative.
In other words, India clearly felt that it had been marginalized in the process of negotiation concerning the future of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. India should have been consulted in the first place. Yeah. And also the name of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor should be altered a little bit to live up to your expectations somehow, so that all sides would feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
Is that your point?
My point is that putting in Chinese investments into an area that is clearly considered by India as disputed between India and Pakistan means that China is taking sides. And then to expect India to play up to or agree with whatever China says and be a part of the larger Belt and Road Initiative is sort of unreasonable in some ways. And I think that is where the heart of the issue lies. Was India marginalized? Maybe, maybe not, because there already existed a highway that passed through that region, which was the Karakoram Highway.
Dr. Wang, is it a very difficult job for China to keep a subtle balance between Pakistan and India, the most important regional players in South Asia? If you look at the Xiamen Declaration, which listed some of the organizations as terrorist organizations, and Akhani Network and Masood. These two names were pretty striking for Islamabad, and they showed open unhappiness and displeasure. Very quickly, our Foreign Minister Wang Yi said there's no question about the all-weather friendship between Beijing and Islamabad. So what do you think of the mixed feeling, quote unquote, on the side of Beijing? Do you believe we have to make a choice between India and Pakistan?
Well, of course not. I think, of course, as Foreign Minister Wang Yi has pointed out, Pakistan is our all-weather partner and friend, and there's no doubt about that. But India is also a very important partner. And as President Xi also noted, a healthy and stable and constructive China-India relations are in the fundamental interest of our two peoples. So I think there's no need for China to make a choice between Pakistan and India. And in fact, I think we encourage the two, in Pakistan and India, to sort of work out their differences first and foremost in the Kashmir issues through diplomacy and dialogue consultation. And we also encourage them to improve their relations because we believe this is will be for the peace and the stability and prosperity of the whole region. And China definitely also working hard toward that as well.
What are the other most important issues on the agenda during your academic discussion with your Indian counterparts? Economic cooperation, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, their own version about the Silk Road, because the India comes up with their own version, a very ambitious blueprint about the regional integration with the strong support from Tokyo.
Well, it's one thing very interesting about my trip is that it almost coincides with the visit by Japanese Prime Minister Abe. So my Indian host was joking that while Prime Minister Modi is hosting Prime Minister Abe, and we are hosting you, Professor Wang. So I think my feeling is that as I was talking to my India counterparts, colleagues, is that it is very important for India also to make a distinction between what is real and what is imagined. It is understandable that India is a great power, big power. There will be some realistic calculation, geopolitical calculation, and therefore some gesture measures of balance of power, etc. But it's also very important to understand the limit to what those measures can bring about, and the importance of not sort of targeting, but the improvement in India-Japanese relationship I think in no way sort of be aimed at targeting China. And I think the India friends need to understand that.
Ravish, what do you think of the issue of nationalism? In China, we have a Global Times, right, which is often quoted by Western think tanks, politicians, policymakers as the most influential media player to try to figure out what the general public in China actually think of some of the critical issues. In India, I was always told by Indian friends, look, they have to handle the very radical sentiments and the issue of nationalism, which may have been reflected largely by BJP, the ruling party. So what do you think of our concern?
I don't see many concerns there. I don't think nationalism is a bad thing at the first set. It drives a country to come together. India is a very diverse country with many different religions, dialects, languages, and in many sense, it is the world's largest democracy. So having a sense of nationalism to proceed towards a common goal is something that both India and China share, and it's a good thing because it brings people together. So,
well, nationalism may serve as a driving force for domestic economic construction for the well-being of the Modi governance, but it may not be necessarily a blessing for foreign relationship. For example, nationalism could be taken advantage of by politicians to divert the public attention from domestic economic woes to the alleged external threats. And therefore, that will be the bulk of what we call self-fulfilling prophecy. And that will add to the importance of a military-industrial complex. And that will fuel the sense of a militancy. And do you think that will serve the national interests of India when it comes to how to improve the relationship with the most dynamic economy in the world? Tomorrow it will be the biggest economic superpower.
I think I understand your definition of nationalism, but from an Indian perspective, our definition of nationalism is very different. We believe that nationalism means working towards common set of goals, and they require everybody to work together to have a common set of goals. and that is the driving force for nationalism in India. Would different parties come up and would there be points of dispute? Of course there will be, because they come from different cultures and there are different backgrounds, and every province or every region would have their own agenda to put forth. But that does not take away from the fact that the process is very fair. Would there be trends that emerge out of it that are emerging across the globe? Of course there will be. But is that a big concern? I don't think so.
In the